the call. Yeah, hit that. The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, brought to you by District Brewing here in Regina. Tell you what, man, you got to check out their mango lime and passion fruit lime super squeeze seltzers available. All right, welcome back. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Bombers. What was the score again, Ryan Hall?
41-24.
We had a party here at Gerhard Studios. I'm Michael Ball along with Ryan Hall, and we're joined by Kyrie Zaber in Oklahoma, former Bomber, former everything. He played for the Ottawa Red Blacks, the Ottawa Renegades, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Montreal Alouettes is where a lot of us know him from, the Angry Bird, and of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, who are losing to my Chargers right now as we speak, 24-6 last I saw at halftime. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Gesicki doesn't do anything
too, Kai.
Yeah, my wife has Gesicki on her fantasy team, and we're going head to head this week. So this is the one time you'll see me pull against the Bengals.
Okay. Hey, so let's talk about this. The Bombers. People walking around outside the stadium talking about fans, the dynasty. The dynasty starts in 60 minutes, and they're 2-3 in the last 5 Grey Cups. They've been to 5, which is not easy to do. But the Argos have won 2 of the past 3. So what's the dynasty? The Argos. Check this out. The Argos have won 2 of the past 3. They've won the most Grey Cups with 19, and the last 8 in a row they've been in and never lost to the Bombers in the Grey Cup. So you've got that on one side. You've got the Bombers that have been to the last 5, but only won 2. 2 of them were close losses. This one a blowout. Who's the bigger dynasty, the Argos or the Blue Bombers?
I'm like totally the wrong person to ask about dynasties, because dynasties is like a media talk thing, right? The only thing I know is that there's 2 million people in Toronto that are going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, who are the Toronto Argonauts?
Yeah.
Like, what's the Grey Cup? If Winnipeg would have won, like Winnipeg would be like lit up all night. It'd be party, celebration. It's the biggest deal, because to Winnipeg, the Grey Cup is huge. To Toronto, it doesn't mean anything. So, okay, so get back to, I got to answer your question. Obviously 2 out of 3 is better than 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What's a dynasty? A dynasty being a team that gets to 5 straight Grey Cups, like that's getting out of the West 5 years in a row. That's pretty tough.
That's a good point. So is that dynastic? Is that dynasty, Kyrie's, even though you win 2 to go to 5 straight?
Well, if you live in a world where you're the only team that's up for it, and you're like, wow, that is amazing. But you're not the only team. The team on the other side, they own you. They're 2 out of 3 in the last in the last 3 Grey Cups. They've won 8 in a row, right? Of the last Grey Cups that they've been to. That's Jordan's 6-0, right? That's Jordan's claim to fame, and why everyone says Jordan is still the GOAT, even though LeBron James statistically is the greatest player in every statistical category. It's the fact that you are winning when you show up. You show up to the party and you don't just stand on the wall. You go there and you dance like your feet are on fire. And I say Winnipeg, they have lost their opportunity to be considered a dynasty. I don't think they recover from this. I don't think they come back for a 6th time in a row. I think this is going to be the thing that's going to be the fall of that whole little – I'm not calling it a dynasty. Whatever it was, it's over. Toronto Argonauts, congratulations. And I agree with you, Ryan. The city of Toronto does not appreciate them, maybe not as much as they should. But there's a select few. There are going to be some people there that's going to wake up and dance. Because I haven't been to a game in Toronto where the fans were completely absent. They have a following, but nothing like what you have in Regina, nothing like Hamilton, nothing like Winnipeg, nothing like even Montreal. I mean,
how do we, from your perspective, a guy that's played in the league, an American from the outside that appreciates the game, how do we get them? Like, here's what I said in the boardroom here. We had a party here at Gerhard Studios. Thanks to Dean and Nicole for hosting us. And we District Brewing, Stats, Mr. D Stats, Cocktails, Dreams, and Cravings. That's the longest name in the history of businesses.
But they make great pizza.
They make great pizza, awesome pizza. We had great friends and family and sponsors down here. Ward Tirecraft, Michael Barth down here, Kevin Payson Insurance Services. But how do you get? We were joking about this, but if They've won 8 straight that they've been in. They've won the most in the league, and nobody cares about this. Nobody's cared about the Argos since the 80s. They didn't care about the Argos when Flutie was there winning back-to-back. How do we get them turned on to an affordable, exciting brand of football? Because no disrespect, Kyrie, I watched the Baltimore Ravens Pittsburgh Steelers game. Not like football, all football. I like defensive football. It doesn't have to be a shootout. But I'm telling you right now, the NFL game does not stack up to the CFL game. How do we get the game itself?
But the fan base is so much greater.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, it's not going to change much. You take that market, you take that city. Toronto has the most American feel of any Canadian football city that I've ever visited. They feel like a little baby New York. They take on an American presence. They have American sports. They have an NBA team there. They have a Major League Baseball team there. They have an NHL hockey team there. So you're talking about the Argonauts being the 4th best show, and you also have to throw in soccer. So you have a soccer team there as well. So where does the Argonauts rank amongst Toronto sports hierarchy? And I'll say they're number 4 or 5. So it's not just the lack of fans for their particular for the sport. I think it's the fact that there are so many other sports and so many other options for the people of Toronto. And you take sports out of it, and then you have theater and you have entertainment. The city has way too much going on. When I played in Winnipeg, it was the Blue Bombers and the girls at Earl's. That was it. The Jets were not there at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, but okay, I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. But that's a city of 4 million people. You can't get 18, 17, 18, 19,000. They can't even sell the one side. Like, that little soccer stadium should be sold out for every game for a winning football team with affordable tickets.
Yeah, I don't feel like they are a huge part of the Canadian football culture. The culture doesn't exist there. And it hasn't, and I don't see what you can do. If winning doesn't solve the problem, then the problem may not be able to be solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the Toronto Argonauts are a way bigger part of the Canadian Football League culture than, like Kyrie said, than the Toronto culture, because they're part of Canadian football history. Like you talked about the Grey Cup history, how many they've won, going way back to the early years of the CFL. It's always been the Toronto Argonauts. But the people of 2024 Toronto seems like they couldn't really care less.
Yeah. This has a very, now you weren't around for this Grey Cup, but I'll talk to you, Ryan. This has a very, well, I'll tie it in here with you. This has a very, Kyrie, this really has a very, Ryan, 2001 Marcus Crandall Grey Cup feel when Calgary beat Winnipeg. Calgary was 8-10 with Wally Buono, went to Montreal and beat a 14-4 Milt Stiegel. The quarterback slipped my name. 17.
If you can't remember, I can't remember.
Jones, the quarterback. Kahari Jones was the quarterback.
Jones.
That's right. So, and I didn't even drink. I didn't even have one of these bad boys tonight.
But by the way, these district English-ish IPAs, they're top notch.
Well, you should like it because you're of British descent. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, you had a decent team with not a star quarterback, kind of middle of the pack quarterback. And then in the NFL, I guess I'd liken this, Kyrie, because this happened before you got here, because you didn't get here until 2004 or 5-ish. But a very Trent Dilfer kind of feel to it. This has a Baltimore Ravens Trent Dilfer kind of feel to me. This Argos win today.
Yeah, like Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
With those things, but those are the ones, man. Like you got to have a greater appreciation for the underdog that can show up. We're not a bunch of stars, right? We're in it together. They were one sound, one band, right? When you can get the teamwork to make the dream work, I think it's so much better than just saying, hey, we rode this guy's coattail all the way here. Let's carry him out. He's the guy. Like when it was all said and done, you saw guys, the camera didn't spend a whole lot of time with one guy. Like it was a whole bunch of guys with their families, enjoying the win, being proud of their accomplishments. and being proud of one another. You can tell that everyone had a sense of pride of being a part and doing their part and making this thing happen. And you had Canadian players who contributed on special teams, forcing fumbles on on the punt, right? You had Canadians contributing in the receiving game in Brissett. You had American players that were been in the league for almost a decade, showing out on defense and at middle linebacker. It was so many different parts, not a whole bunch of superstars, but just a bunch of people who knew what their roles were, came in, did their jobs. Your freaking kicker was hanging on by his leg was hanging on by a thread, but he was not going to stop. He did not miss a kick. Like good work, man. Way to stick together. I'm proud for him, and I was actually pulling for the other team. So
Yeah, you're a former
Yeah.
Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But I was
love
going to
the
say,
Bombers.
like what Kyrie said about the game is really the CFL this year. Like there was no standout star. Like, you know, when you think of, a few years ago, Nathan Rourke, or you think of whatever, 10 years ago, Levi Mitchell or Doug Flutie or whatever, like we didn't have a clue who should be the most outstanding player this year.
Yeah.
And there's still lots of controversy. Like, really, should Brady Olivier have been the most? Maybe, maybe not. But because it's that exact reason. There wasn't really a standout player. It's just a bunch of teams and a bunch of players on the teams doing their role, and which is awesome, because really that's what football is all about.
Ultimate team game.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you're a rugged guy. You love the physicality. Winton McManus, I've always liked his play with the Argos. He was hurt for a chunk of this year, but that's one of the reasons I picked the Argos to be a dangerous team. So they were getting healthy. Their front seven's outstanding, and he is an unbelievable linebacker. He really was all over Nick Dembski today in the intermediate part of the field.
He was, and he was mentored by two of the greatest in Canadian football history as far as linebackers are concerned. I mean, for him to have an influence by Alex Singletary and also Enoch Mwamba, I mean, it's pretty good company to keep and people to have been around and to learn from. So those guys speak highly of him. They know who he is. They know the character of him, and they know the type. Not only is he a physical player, he's a team guy. He's a get the team around and let's go, follow me. I'm gonna, he's the type of guy that's gonna lead, and he leads by example. So good for him. Happy, and he's won before. I'm pretty sure he was on one of those teams that beat us back in the day.
Yeah.
But for him to have it as him being the starting linebacker and leading that defense, good for him.
It's funny. Football, it can go. It's a fine line between winning and losing. If Chad Kelly goes down early in that game against Montreal, the Alouettes probably win that game. They're just there was just enough time for the Argos could capture themselves, and Arbuckle didn't have to take that thing from the second quarter till the end of the game. Okay, it's different when you have a whole week to prepare and everything like that. So they caught a break. They caught a break there, which really helped them out in this game. And he has experience. It's just funny how it's such a fine line, right? And then Kai, they come here. Kelly breaks his ankle. And I don't know if it was true or if it was just they decided not to bring him, but they said he couldn't fly, so he's not making the trip to the Grey Cup, which I thought. No distractions, right? Like, he's not playing in the Grey Cup. There's no distractions, and he's not here, Kai. I think that helped the Argos out big time.
We're talking Kelly?
Yeah, we're talking Chad Kelly not being there. Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that it wasn't a whole lot of talk of, is, the guy gets hurt. He wasn't there. So you're right. No distraction, no added pressure of him standing behind a quarterback, that and all that. But I think we need to remember that he's a huge part of why that team's even here today.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I don't feel like there was enough talk of what Chad Kelly did for this organization this year. I'm sure everyone within the organization, they have given him his props and thanked him for everything that he's done. And he's going to have his ring. But, man, they are here because of him. They finished it because of them.
I just kind of wonder what'll happen next year. Like, when we start the new season in 2025, will Chad Kelly kind of have a clean slate and it won't be an issue anymore? Or will there still be this kind of dark cloud of, his past and the accusations and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering where that'll go.
I don't feel like it was a huge part of this. I mean, they were able to get this far despite all that other stuff in the past. I think when he comes back, it should be strictly football, unless there is something that removes him from the game. But if he's there, his legs ready, you don't have a quarterback competition. There's no controversy, none of that stuff. I think he gets healthy and whatever he had going on is gone. Then you just move forward. It's business as usual. Now, if that's not cleared up, then he has to deal with suffer whatever consequences.
It's gonna be interesting. It's interesting. I mean, so 2 years ago, he's on the bench, the cocky kid, and McLeod Bethel Thompson hurts his hand like Zach Claros here. Kelly comes off the bench to win it. Kelly breaks his ankle. Nick Arbuckle comes off the bench to win it and then gets a week and wins it. But I am 100% with what you said, Kai. And just to piggyback what Ryan brought up there, it should be over. It was over. I'm in the minority. People don't like when I say this, but he had his 9 games. He got his suspension. He came back. He got better as the season went along. He and Trevor Harris were the 2 best quarterbacks down the stretch going into the playoffs. And you're absolutely right, Kai. They're not here if not for Chad Kelly. Like, Chad Kelly deserves a big piece of the credit for this.
Yeah. And what's also a beautiful thing that how you look at what happened with Bethel Thompson, and then you look at what happens with Kelly, and then you watch Arbuckle win the Grey Cup. A guy who has never won it or never led a whole team for an entire season to this place. So what that speaks to is the organization. That means there's consistency within the organization that no matter who you put at quarterback is next man up, and success has seemed to follow. And the one thing that has been consistent in these last 4 years for them is Ryan Dinwiddie.
That's a good point. And that's a good point. Before we go to break, I'll let you chime in here. Another Ryan. Yeah. Ryan Dinwiddie, he gets, the credit he should get for what he's done. 4 years a coach, 2 times Grey Cup champion, beating the Bombers, the dynasty, the big bad Bombers, where they're the underdogs both years that he played against them. I mean, and with Nick Arbuckle this time.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you think about head coaching. Like, there's no formula for the perfect head coach, because when you look at head coaches in the history of football, there's such a variety of personalities that have been very successful and some that have been very unsuccessful. And I think Ryan Dinwiddie, whatever he's doing in Toronto, like Kyrie said, it's working. Like, he's establishing a consistent culture. He's getting the guys to buy in what they're doing and to make sure that everybody knows they have a valuable place in the program. And I think Dinwiddie gets a lot of credit for this.
Okay, I'm going to put a pause here. I want you, because you got the good glasses there, read the number for us there.
Okay, 1-888.
Yep.
415.
Yeah.
4764.
We're taking calls for the first time here. We got a caller on the line, but first, let's go to a sponsor break, and then when we come back, we'll get to our first live audio call on the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition. But first, the sponsor break. The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, is brought to you by Mr. D, Stats, Cocktails, and Dreams and Cravings, 1832 Victoria Avenue East. Thanks to Jason and Mia. They jumped on board right away to get involved with this local CFL post-game show podcast. When you watch Rider games down there, all right, we cut off there, but the audio was, when we watch Rider games down there, they give tickets, they give jerseys, and of course, you want to be there to watch the football, all the football is Stats, Cocktails, and Dreams. I was down there yesterday to watch the Rams and Laval, and I'll get into that a little later on
let's do that
when we let Kai go. But let's get to the phone calls here, and we got Jacob Cormier on the phone. We'll try this out. Jacob, are you there? Jacob, you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Jacob. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just watched the game, and I can definitely say I'm pretty shocked about how that turned out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Yeah. Are you a Rider fan, a Bomber fan, just a CFL fan in general?
I'm a Rider fan, but yeah, I'm a big CFL fan, and I love watching the CFL, and I watch a majority of the games this year, no matter who was playing.
Hey, how did you think that looked on TV? I thought it was great. 54,000 fans at the game. That if an American was tuning in like Kyrie's was from the States, it looked good on TV. How'd you like it, Jacob?
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that some of the graphics that TSN put in to try and copy the NFL, which obviously they have more money, so their broadcasts are better. But I thought it was cool that TSN tried to mimic that and put on a better show for the American viewers and even the Canadian viewers. It was pretty cool. And yeah, 54,000. That's usually not the typical attendance at a CFL game, so it's nice to see.
Hey, before I let you go, how do you feel about your Riders? There's talk they might offer Trevor Harris a multi-year contract. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the Riders going forward?
Well, I think if they want to make a good run at the Grey Cup, then I don't think Trevor Harris is the right option to go with. He's almost 40, and I think that they gotta try and get someone in free agency, whether it's Trey Ford, Vernon Adams, or whoever that is.
Well,
I don't think Trevor Harris has a starter.
BA would be a trade because he's with the BC Lions, so they still got him under contract. Trey Ford, he's got upside, but I don't know if fans in Saskatchewan are funny. They always want to develop a quarterback till it's time to develop a quarterback, and they hate developing a quarterback. Jacob, thanks for the call, man. Hey, by the way, how have you liked that? You may have cheered against him, but how do you like the Angry Bird on this show, Kyrie Zabear? You probably booed him to Kingdom Come, but you're liking him now.
I can't say I vividly remember him playing, but I'm a bit,
You're younger. Yeah, but he wasn't. He just played not that long ago. He was in the league like in 2016, 18.
Hey, man, that's one less person to hate me. Leave it alone, boss.
Well, you know what you do? You know what you do, Jacob? When the show's done, you YouTube Kai Bear, and you will see how he played. He was a stud. Thanks for the call, man.
I've seen a few of his highlights on YouTube. Yeah, pretty nice.
Hey, man, thanks for
calling in, Jacob. That was awesome.
Thanks for watching the show, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it. Hey, come on, Kai. You like being hated, man. That was part of your shtick.
Yeah, it's over. I dance with my kids to.
Now you're a nice guy.
Yeah, I watch Miss Rachel.
That's awesome. So Randy Ambrosi leaves. He leaves with a good Grey Cup in terms of attendance. Thought the halftime show was good. Looked like a good week. Now let's give the credit where the credit's due. It's Amar Doman. From your perspective, Kai, what do you want from the next commissioner of the CFL? What do you want to see from him or her?
I think that stay true to the game. You often hear, even in this last conversation, the focus wasn't just on how impressive TSN was, because they were. I think they did a great job from a production standpoint. Everything was on point. There was no hiccups. It ran smooth as possible. But you tend to see Canadian football fans, the players, coaches, and sometimes ownership find themselves being compared or comparing themselves to the NFL. It's not that. The CFL is its own game. It has its own tradition, has its own rules. And that's what makes it fun. Don't deviate from who you are and what you do. This was the 111th Grey Cup. And if you know anything about Canadian football and Grey Cups, not all Grey Cups were Canadian football games to be played. So if you got time, people go back and look at the history of the Grey Cup. It was actually something different before the CFL took it on as the championship game for its league. Yeah. So I say stay true to the league. Don't compare yourself. Allow the CFL to continue to grow without the pressure of the NFL. That may never happen again because of the money, the dynamic, the population. None of the things align for the CFL to ever be the NFL. But by damn it, it is the best brand of football you can get north of the border. Embrace it and ride that wave. Be the wave.
I love it. I love it. But here's before we let you go, I'll just piggyback this, okay? You're absolutely right. We can't compare ourselves to America. It's apples and oranges, not even close. And they got all the money and all the bells and whistles. But I do like what TSN, and I'm not in the boardroom, so I don't know what budgets are, but I do like what TSN did through the entire playoffs. They mic'd up the quarterbacks. You got the the crunching and the smashing. You got the different camera angles, the drone camera angles. You got production on point. I just wish they'd put a little more effort like that into every regular season game, because if it shows well on TV, we've said this before, Kyrie's, if you tune in to a Carolina, pick another shitty team, Cleveland,
Jacksonville.
Good one.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Okay, pick Chicago against Jacksonville.
Although Chicago killed Jacksonville earlier.
But if it was Chicago, Jacksonville, or Carolina, Jacksonville, and it's 6-3, and you're watching it, you're like, okay, but they've got a good crew broadcast in the game, and they got the camera angles, so you're a little invested. You tune into a 7-3 Toronto-Montreal game, and there's 8,000 in the crowd, and your announcers aren't really into it, and they're not on point with production. Do you know what I'm saying? It's got to look good. You got to make somebody want to go to the stadium.
So you saying I need to do something different with my office?
No, you look good. No, you're good. You're
Yeah,
good.
I buy some of that. But I think they do a lot with what they have. And it was great and refreshing. You know, you're hearing the play calls in the huddle. It does bring you into the game. It engages you. And you see the fans. I mean, 54,000 in the crowd, and that's something to be proud of. But what I think happens a lot is it gets minimalized when you start saying, well, shoot, an LSU football game here in the States, that's a college football game, not professional.
Yeah.
We'll have 110,000 in the stands. But if you do that, now that minimizes and that makes that 54 look small. But you take that 54 and you look at Toronto, who can't get 9,000 in the fans, and now you see we're cooking with something. So I think embrace the positive.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Like, I haven't really thought about that, Kyrie's, because most of us, we're football fans. We love Canadian football, but we love watching American football, college, pro, whatever. And so we compare. But what you were saying, like, let the Grey Cup, let Canadian football be Canadian football, like, that's a really different perspective. So does that mean, we make the Grey Cup kind of the pinnacle of promoting Canadian football? Like, like we talked about before the game, like, why isn't the Vanier Cup paired with the Grey Cup?
It used to be.
It was for a couple of years, to make it a celebration of Canadian football. Vanier Cup, the Canadian University Football Championship, and maybe tie in the CJFL, and maybe somehow in the Grey Cup have celebrations of minor football and high school football from across the country. It would make it a lot more of a kind of, like, the NFL is such glitz and polish and Taylor Swift and B-52 bombers and, just like all this big, huge, showy stuff. Do we make the Canadian Football League more of a at-home, local, hey, this is us?
I think
we're Canadians. We're not Americans. We're Canadians, and we just work hard and we love football.
Hey, don't say that, Ryan. My wife gives me a hard time. I tell my daughter, like, she's Canadian. It's like she's not American, but hey, continent's American, North American continent. I get in so much shit for that. She corrects me all the time. But I think it's a great idea what you're saying. From a marketing standpoint, that's a way to get more people in the stands. That can take you from 54,000 to maybe 70. Because you now would bring, let's say you had Winnipeg and Toronto in the Grey Cup, but you had Laval versus
Laurier.
Oh no, let's go with someone on the west side.
Calgary.
Right?
Calgary.
Well, should have been Regina.
Yeah. So
Regina
now you're bringing fans from
yesterday.
here, and you're bringing fans from all across the nation to represent football in Canada and play them on different days, but keep people in like you have Grey Cup week. A whole week of festivities celebrating football in Canada, and that will bring people from all over the country, because we did not have the best of the Regina fans weren't there, right? They didn't have their team represented, but had the University of Regina been there, and you get that following, right? You get another Prairie, or you go, let's say where we go crazy about football. Hamilton's pretty nuts about it.
Yeah, if you got Western against, you could have Western against Manitoba Bisons, or Western against, UBC or
Saskatchewan Huskies.
or Saskatchewan
Yeah,
Huskies,
yeah.
another big one. Yeah.
So I
Maybe
think
we
that
should put our names in for commission.
Yeah, we
could
should
do it
be
as
the-
like
there
a
you go.
Three-headed
job.
monster. You handle the States part, and we got the Canadian angle covered. Hey,
There you go.
man,
We're
hey,
not
man.
doing. Look, I'm down to do it with you, Ryan. But I'm not going to be in it with some halfy ballsy guy. Your balls aren't bigger if you don't commit to your balls. Be
Okay, next
bald.
season, man.
So I got to be bald. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Join the
next-
team. Do you know?
Okay.
I saw this on the internet. They did I think the sexiest bald man alive or something.
Yeah,
And
did
they
you
gave
win?
it to Prince. No, I think I was in the top 10,000. But they gave it to Prince Harry. The guy didn't even commit. He's rocking the one of those things you got going. Yeah,
Okay,
like
I'll tell you what. We're going to make a deal right here. This is a
What you got?
negotiation deal right here. Are you joining us next year for the entire year if I shave my head bald week 1?
absolutely. Count me
You're
in.
in for the whole year?
Whole
Okay,
year.
We're going to shave it right here.
You won't regret it.
We're going to shave
You won't
glad you
regret
did.
it. Yeah.
Ryan Hall will sit next to me,
I'll
and he
help
will
you.
shave my head bald right here at Gerhardt Studios, live on the air, our post-game show, okay?
Yes. Hey, but I'm gonna warn you. You're gonna have to get some kind of tick repellent because they're not gonna be able to take their hands off you once you go bald. It's
Okay,
just-
good. Hey, man. Hey, we're going to let you go. This has been a pleasure. I hope to check in with you during the off season on my regular podcast. And you are signed up now. We got audio. We got a verbal commitment, Angry Bird.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Hey, man, you guys are awesome. I appreciate working with you, Ryan. Good to see you again, Ballsy.
Great seeing you
We
too,
will-
Carries.
We'll text with each other, brother.
See you, man. Take care. All
Later.
right.
Take care.
Later. We're going to have a sponsor break and be back in a moment. You're watching the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show with Halsey, Ballsy, and the Angry Bird. We let him go because he's a busy real estate guy. He's selling modular homes. Yeah, we got the District Brewing. They've got their lights. They've got their passion fruit lime. They've got their IPA
Englishish.
Yeah, that's right. We got the mango lime, and we got the Pilsner, and we also
Pilsner's
had
good too.
we also had the strawberry sours back there too. So we're jacked for a Christmas. We're gonna have a Christmas party here. I'm gonna take over Gerhardt Studios. I've decided.
This is a great place to be.
It is.
man.
He's a great guy.
awesome.
And him and
Yes,
Nicole,
thanks.
Eric Cox too, hanging out here. Okay, when we come back, we'll get to another call. We got 2 calls, Ryan. We're kicking
This is a
ass here
record.
today.
Awesome.
Yeah, all right. You got a 2-hour drive home yet. So we'll be back with more of the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, in a moment. The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, brought to you by District Brewing here in Regina. Tell you what, man, you got to check out their mango lime and passion fruit lime super squeeze seltzers, available at all participating Saskatchewan liquor stores and their own facility right here on 6th Avenue in the heart of Regina. Go check out Tim, Joe, and the gang over there at District Brewing. Thanks to them for getting on board and for sponsoring our Grey Cup little soiree here at Gerhardt Studios. All right, welcome back in studio here. We're here for a few more minutes. Thanks to my assistant, Dean Gerhardt, giving me a Pepsi.
They're not a sponsor, by the way.
No, they're not a sponsor.
District is a sponsor.
No, District to sponsor the Stats Cocktails and Dreams and Cravings. Mr. D Stats Cocktails and Dreams and Cravings restaurant gave us the pizza. District Brewing helped us out with a few beverages. Well, more than a few. And I want to thank Gerhardt Studios. Nicole and Dean do an outstanding job. You need to get some website design. You need to get your social media going. You need to get even like still photography, wedding photography. I'm not getting married yet. You're already married. How many years?
33.
Your wife is an absolute rock
She's
star.
a saint.
Jody was out on the water with it snowing today.
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, yesterday.
She was out paddleboarding yesterday in the snow out at
Yeah.
Round Lake. It was epic. It was pretty classic.
So we got a phone call here. I don't see a name, but let's go to the phones. And hi, who's this? Hello?
Steve.
Hi, Steve? Okay, Steve, what do you got?
Is Toronto now like the most iconic football team in the whole CFL, or is it still Edmonton with their dynasties?
Okay, let's discuss. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Steve's a good guy, good football fan. Probably. Well, it's Toronto.
You can never touch Edmonton of the late 70s.
70s, early 80s,
I'm
five
sure
in a row.
that's what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
5 in a
That's
row.
what
You
Steve's talking about.
can't beat that.
No, like that. yeah, that's in any football league. Like that's never been even close in the NFL or CFL. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever going to touch that dynasty.
Steve, you are onto something, bro, because think about this. They've won the last. Think about this as a Rider fan. Nobody gives a flying fuck about the Argos in Toronto. Okay? And they have won the last 8 they've been in. The Riders have 4 in their history. They've been to 5 in the last 27 years. Think about that's salt in the wounds, bro.
Yeah, we prefer not to think about that kind of stuff because it is pretty salty.
But think about how about dynastic that is. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, Steve's making a good point that Toronto's up there. That Toronto is a team to be considered as as kind of one of those all-time CFL franchises, I guess. But yeah, I would still say Edmonton of the late 70s, early 80s with Wilkinson and Moon and
Jim
those
Germany, Kepley, all those guys.
Oh man,
hey,
I still remember those dudes.
Hey Steve, are you still there?
You betcha.
Hey Steve, are you surprised the Calgary Stampeders got awarded the 2026 Grey Cup?
Absolutely.
Like,
what a dump of a stadium that has. You have to have something. Like, you may as well put it out in a pasture in Gainsborough, Saskatchewan.
well, they are returfing it as we speak, but it needs a lot more than that. Like, I was really shocked.
Is that what you call lipstick on a pig?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't get it. And Steve, one more point, and then I'll let Ryan jump in here before I let you go. So you talked about the Eskimos, which, by the way, I'm a white guy, so I can't really talk about it, and I know you work with Indigenous people. I don't know that. I think a lot of people didn't like the fact they changed that name. I've heard a lot of Inuit people wanted them to keep the name. That's a debate for somebody else. But that Eskimos time, and we'll say it, was legendary. It was legendary. And Steve, do you not believe the 2 biggest hires now, or the 2 biggest things now, is we need to get the right commissioner and we need that Edmonton football team to be a juggernaut again?
That's huge for the CFL.
Yeah, wouldn't you say? Like, I think those are, Ryan, I think those are the 2 biggest things that need to take place. We need Edmonton to get their house in order. But even though we hated them, they were the evil empire. It's always great to hate the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers and the Canadians and the Leafs
and the Patriots or
whatever. Right? We need Edmonton. The league needs a strong Edmonton, and we need Calgary back again. And those teams really need to promote the hell out of, because they've lost fans now for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it's just crushing to see how Edmonton has fallen, like from a team that used to have 40,000 at their home games at Commonwealth Stadium to now having 4,000.
Yeah.
So that's obviously huge. You know, not that I want Edmonton winning every year, recreating the dynasty, but certainly would like to see Edmonton being a competitive franchise, just like Calgary. You know, to think that in the CFL, both Alberta teams didn't make the playoffs this year.
First time since 49.
Yeah, pretty rare. And like you said, Commissioner 2 is huge. To me, the big thing about whoever we get as the new commissioner is we need somebody who's Canadian focused, you know, who's not international focused, trying to bring players in from other countries.
Like Kai said.
Yeah. Like let's bring the focus back to our university and junior players here in Canada and find ways to get those guys into the CFL and not be minimizing the ratio and making, you know, American players, if they stick around to a Canadian city long enough, they get to be considered Canadians. Like, let's get rid of that stuff and let's have Canadians in the Canadian Football League.
Steve, we're going to take a break, but I'm going to ask you one more question. Okay. I don't know how you sit politically, and I know it's a new world and I'm an old man yelling at clouds, get off my lawn. I know, get an app, and you can get it on an app. But the Canadian Broadcast Corporation is funded by my tax dollars, and I'm assuming, Steve, you're a Canadian citizen, so I'm assuming it's your tax dollars. Is it not crazy that I can't tune in on a Saturday and watch the 2 national semifinal games in Canada University football on a regular TV station?
Absolutely. Yesterday we were looking for it, and there's nowhere to be seen except social media. We were following the game.
Crazy. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Steve, thanks for the call. Have a good night. And
thanks, Steve.
And a good week ahead. We're going to take another sponsor break. Looks like we have another call coming in. That's heating up here. Look at that. They said the only thing your show's missing, Ballsy, is you need a good sidekick. I got him here. And the only other thing you need, Ballsy, is you need some phone calls. You were good with phone calls. So we'll get to some phone calls next. That number, once again, Ryan, 1-888-415
4764.
64? 64. Look at you.
Trust my glasses, man.
I got some good glasses from Specs by Ryan. I just I don't know, maybe. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I can see it now. Anyway, we'll take a break. It's the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition.
The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, brought to you by Ward Tire Craft. 2 locations, one in Saskatoon.
Eric, you'll find out one of these days. You'll find out.
101 Dewdney Avenue East. Go into that location. Tell Michael Barth that Ballsy sent you, and you'll get 10% off your tires, braking needs, mechanical needs. Just tell him Ballsy sent you. Ward Tire Craft, 101 Dewdney Avenue East in Regina and in Saskatoon.
Okay, welcome back. And we got another caller on the line there. Let's go to the
Avery.
Is it Avery? Avery was here at the party. Avery's a broadcaster in Moose Jaw. He's done Thunder games with me this year. And
me,
and you, absolutely. Avery, go ahead.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, bro. Thanks for coming to the party, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for the invite, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I wish your brother Lauren could come, but he stood me up, so I'll really have to butcher his name and his stats next year on the Thunder broadcast. What's your thoughts on the Grey Cup?
Oh, it was a good game. It definitely didn't go the way I thought it would. And, you know, it's a credit to Dinwiddie for coaching up Arbuckle to get ready for the game, honestly.
It was an outstanding coaching job. This is why, I'll tell you what, guys, I want an opinion from both of you. Start with you, Avery. I've said this for a bajillion years. I don't care what league. The awards should be handed out when the season is over. And I'm talking when the trophy is handed out. Because if you were to re-vote, isn't Ryan Dinwiddie the coach of the year?
Oh, definitely.
Is Brady
100%. I was saying that earlier.
Yeah, Ryan, is Brady Oliveira the most outstanding player after this performance today?
Well, I didn't really think he was the most outstanding player after the regular season.
Right.
Certainly not today. I don't think, I still don't agree with you on that one, Michael. I don't think you can, I think that the awards are based on an 18-game season. And it's always, you know, there's a thing called recency bias, which is where people just make their decisions based on, it's a psychology term, where people make their decisions on the most recent thing that they have reference to. And so that's why we should have playoff awards. So for like in the NHL, right? They have playoff awards and they have regular season awards. So I think our CFL awards are for the regular season. Playoffs are different. You know, if Brady Oliveira is the most outstanding player in the Canadian Football League in the regular season, but if game planning wise, Mike O'Shea decides and Buck Pierce decide, oh, we need to focus more on a passing attack to win these playoff games. Does that mean Brady Oliveira wasn't the most outstanding player in the regular season? Or does it just mean game planning has kind of dictated that he has a different role in these 2-3 playoff games that we have? So I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I still think awards should be based on the regular season. Playoffs are playoffs.
Okay, so we'll see if you guys agree with me on this. Start with you, Avery. Logan Ferland played left tackle. He played right guard. He played right tackle, and he played center. And he didn't get the most outstanding offensive lineman. Ryan Hunter did. Ryan Hunter got schooled today by Willie Jefferson. Now, I do think Ryan, you can't.
Willie Jefferson's Willie Jefferson.
I won't say Ryan Hunter is not a deserving recipient. Okay, I never played offensive line ever, and certainly not at a pro level. So I'm not going to sit here as a 170-pound guy and tell you I know how to play a line. But I'm going to tell you this. Do you both not think it's ludicrous that Logan Ferland got over double the votes that Logan Ferland did for that award? Is that not stupid, Avery?
Yeah, I did feel like it wasn't close enough, like we were talking about earlier on this evening. And the fact that Ferland played multiple positions, like you stated, it's bizarre to think that the league didn't see that as an attribute to him, right? Not many guys can play tackle, guard, and center throughout a given season, right? Especially in the NFL, like how many offensive linemen can play all three of those positions throughout a season?
Almost zero.
And I think and let's go to this game to wrap up. I think we don't give enough kudos to the Argos defense. Kenny Lawler had a couple of catches in the first half, but was pretty non-existent. Nick Dembski was really non-existent. And it's funny, they picked the Grey Cup to call him offside. They didn't call him offside. Any Rider game, he can be offside by 10 yards. And, Brady Oliveira was good, but not great. And I don't necessarily think it was because he was playing subpar, just the Argos were that good.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little bit of a bias. Like when people are asking who are you cheering for in the Grey Cup, like I'm a Western guy. So, and I really like Mike O'Shea. I've met him a few times. He treated my son really well when he tried out for the Bombers. So I like the Bombers, but Royce Mechie, the safety for Toronto, is a kid that I coached on the national team. And I love Royce, outstanding young man. So I'm really happy for him on the Toronto defense. But yeah, when you think of how they minimize the key players of Winnipeg, that's what winning defense is all about. You got to pick who are their best guys and take them out. Nick Dembski, I think probably the best thing Winnipeg could have done was maybe put a green visor on him, so he thought he was playing the Riders, because whenever he plays the Riders, he lights it up. But here he was playing against Toronto, and what did he have? One catch maybe late in the game. He finally got on the stat sheet. So yeah, Toronto's defense played an outstanding game today.
Yeah, they did. Anything else, Avery?
I did want to mention, Ryan, you guys are talking about importance of Canadian players earlier on. And I'd mentioned this to Ryan earlier of why do we not have the quarterback position a part of the Canadian, a part of the Canadian ratio yet? I think that's something the new commissioner, that should be the first order of business, in my opinion.
That's the dumbest thing in the CFL, that a Canadian quarterback doesn't count as a Canadian player. It's just, who would even make that rule? It makes zero sense. It's totally ridiculous. Avery's absolutely right about that.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They even said it today on the broadcast. We are in the best time for Canadian football players. In terms of going to the United States right away, if that's the be all and end all, in terms of playing in the CFL. So why, somebody help me, why do we go from 10 to 7 starters? Do we, we have the greatest talent ever, but we don't, or do we? That's what I mean. I can't figure it out.
Yeah. And it's not like we're adding a bunch of franchises and watering down the talent pool. We still only have 9. Yeah. Same thing we've had for 40, 50 years.
And that's where we need to get back what Kai was saying. We need to focus more on Canadians. And we'll get to that in a second. We're running short on time. We're going to take a break. Avery, safe travels home, unless you're home already. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Okay.
For sure. Appreciate you having me, guys. Take care.
Good seeing you, Avery.
One of the great young broadcasters in Western Canada. They're pushing more and more of them out of the industry, but he's a great guy. We're going to take another sponsor break. I think our last one of the show. And I don't know if we have another call, but if we do, we'll get to it. You're listening to the Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show.
The Our Balls Are Bigger post-game show, Grey Cup edition, is brought to you by Kevin Payson at Payson Insurance Services. He's a former Ram and Western Mustang defensive lineman, coached high-level championship high school football in Regina for a long time. In his business life, he works with families and small to medium businesses, helping them maximize their financial security through investments and insurance products, and also consults on employee benefit plans and helps with your retirement, estate, and succession planning. He has helped me out get some very valuable life insurance. He'll help you out too. Payson Insurance Service.
All right, Payson Insurance Services, and thanks to Kevin Payson for coming here. He did an awesome job this year supporting the show for all your your life insurance needs, real estate planning, succession planning. Payson Insurance Services in South Regina. Okay, we're going to wrap up here, Ryan and I. I wanted to talk about what happened in Regina yesterday. I kind of went on a mini rant on my feeds at Ballsy Uncut. You can see that I talked for about 13 minutes, but I want to get your thoughts first off on the Rams season and the game that was yesterday. We were both rooting like heck for the Rams. I for one, first, I was shocked. I thought Laval would be, and no disrespect to the Rams, because they played hard. They got a great defense. I don't think I really appreciated how good the Rams defense was this year, but I also don't think Laval was the Laval we remember from the last couple of years.
Yeah, usually when you think of the RSEQ, the Quebec University Conference, they're a powerhouse in Canada, and Laval, I think, was fairly dominant out there this year. And so when I looked at Canada West football, because I don't watch all the games, but I watch a fair number of games, to me it seemed like Canada West was it was okay, but maybe not the best, highest level of football that I've seen in the last 9 or 10 years that I've been following it pretty closely. But yeah, like the Rams showed up and wow, like they played great. And in particular defensively, like, people have asked about that, like what's up with the Rams defense? And I just think so many things come down to coaching, and Sheldon Gray's the defensive coordinator there. And I think he does an outstanding job with that defense because, again, like the U of R, recruiting wise, they're the smallest university in Canada West. We're in the smallest community, the smallest city in Canada West. We've got 2 university programs in Saskatchewan, a big established, U of S program just 2.5 hours north that's competing with us. We've got the two of the top junior programs, the Hilltops and the Thunder, who are also trying to get all these Saskatchewan players. And the Rams put together a great run. Like they kind of scrapped through the regular season. It wasn't pretty. They barely made the playoffs with that big come from behind win against the U of A, and then just went on a great run, upsetting the University of Manitoba, the first place team in Canada West with a 7-1 record, upsetting the U of S last weekend right up in Saskatoon in that great atmosphere at Griffith Stadium. And yesterday, like just a few plays away from upsetting Laval.
They had 2 drop touchdowns. They were contested passes, but I think Mims would like to have those back. I thought Noah Pelche with an injured passing arm, shoulder, did a great job. 354 yards passing. I personally texted him. I'll get your thoughts on this. It's 3rd and 1. And I don't even like it. It was a makeable 3rd down conversion late in the game. Rams had 1 timeout. I think they're poised to move into field goal range and tie the game.
It's close.
You've got 2 linemen that are hurt. Hodel went down, and one other guy, 66 went down. Okay, like a play before. You're 3rd and 1. You're in the shotgun, and you've got a talented running back, Marshall Erickson, but I don't know how to put this. He's kind of string beanie. He's sleek. He's not a power back. That's how I'll say it, okay? Like, excellent kid. Like, he had a 60-yard run and a nice touchdown run, okay, to give him the apparent go-ahead touchdown to win the game.
4th quarter, yeah.
But if you're 3rd and 1 and you're in a shotgun and you need to get a yard, then you put Christian Katende in there. Unless he was hurt, why isn't he in the football game? And I texted Noah this. So I said, hey, great game. Like the kid did a classy interview right after the game, like a 10-year NFL vet or CFL vet, sorry. And was just well-spoken. He's a proud Métis, so he's great for a role model. But I said, I wish you would have just sacked up, kept the ball, overruled the coaches, and you're the last line of defense on the field. I just wanted your thought, because that to me was the Mitchell Bowl mistake right there.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? The thing was, the Rams had a few 3rd and short or goal and short plays that were really tough with Hodel and Clausen in there. Laval was getting penetration; they were getting push.
Yes.
They weren't. The Rams with their 5 starting O linemen weren't getting great push, and with Katende in the backfield. So I don't think the play they ran was the best answer. Probably, if you're going to go shotgun, if you're going to have Marshall Erickson in the backfield, maybe a play action, and then, a tight end like Ben Camplin gets lost in the wash and just do a little release and dump off to him for that 1 yard. I'm no offensive guru. Nobody would say that I am. But that they were in a tough goal. Like, even if they lined up, they put Noah under center, they're still probably not going to get the push they need. Noah was very banged up from the week before against Saskatoon. So how physical is he going to be able to be lunging forward to try and get that 1 yard on a bootleg, which they've run successfully during the season, because he is a really good athlete. But again, he's banged up. The O-line did a great job protecting him yesterday. He took very few hits, which was a big part of the Rams' success offensively. So it's tough. I guess my thought looking back is maybe the best option would have been a play action and throw to somebody on the interior, even an eligible offensive lineman that checked in as a tight end or something like that. But yeah, that was a tough play.
Can somebody give a shit about Canadian football? Can somebody give a shit about amateur football. He does. He coaches tackling camps. He's tried to get it going in the Indigenous community amongst 3 reserves. So he's tried. I've coached. I've been promoting it, but
You promote it like nobody else.
CBC. I have to get it on I have to try to find it on a stream. Okay. And that's great if you want to stream it, although they showed they couldn't even do the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. But you want to stream an NFL game on Netflix or whatever, people are going to get there because the NFL is big. They're going to go watch the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll go find it. But they're not going to go jump through hoops to find a U Sports football game, because Ryan, we're not even at the cement mixing phase for building a foundation for interest, and that is our own doing. We've had some of the best football I have watched in the last 15 years, U Sports, junior, high school, but the give a shit factor isn't there. And I'm not just, if you don't make the fans want to go, why would they go? Ryan and Ballsy can have the best steak. We can have the best post-game show. But if we don't promote it, if we don't get Gerhard Studios promoting it, nobody knows where to find it. They're slowly starting to find it. We're getting 3 and 4 calls. Next year, I bet you the banks are full. I have to pay Eric Cox probably $800 to operate it because his fingers will fall off.
That'd be a pay cut for Eric. Yeah, I hear he makes big bucks.
But you know what I'm saying? Nick, why can't I get the 2 semifinals? Fraser Solpick makes a big play on Lucky Whitehead. Kevin Meitel makes a touchdown grab, and barely anybody knows that they were high-level U Sports players because nobody gives a shit. Why isn't the Vanier Cup the day before the Grey Cup? And don't tell me you can't do it, because the 2 best attended Vanier Cups were the ones that were in 2011 and 2012, Vancouver and Toronto, Saturday before the Grey Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see both sides of that. I think it would be the best thing for university football to be paired up, the Vanier with the Grey Cup, and like you said, to have it a thing where people that are showing up to the Grey Cup, like, yeah, well, why wouldn't we go to the Vanier Cup and then find out, hey, this is awesome? Like Sportsnet, didn't 15 years ago, Sportsnet used to have, well, they used to do OUA games, Ontario games every Saturday.
Yep.
And then I think they did the CIS, used to be called CIS, playoff games as well. So I don't know why Sportsnet got out of it. I don't know why TSN with their 5 channels, where usually 3 or 4 out of the 5, they're showing some crap that nobody cares about. Like, there's got to be people that care more about Canadian football than some of the stuff I see.
Okay, wait a minute. I'll let you go because we could rant all day about this.
Yeah.
But the CBC is a taxpayer-funded station network, okay? Taxpayer-funded network. We are talking grassroots amateur sports, okay? You'll show me the Stampede. You'll show me skiing. You'll show me all this stuff.
Okay, when I was watching yesterday at the end of the UTEC Bowl, the Eastern game, about 3 minutes left in the game, it cut to women's tennis in Europe. I believe it was women's tennis in Europe. And I was like, what happened to the football game? And it was on women's tennis for 5 minutes, and then it switched back to the football for the last part.
Was that on the national network?
No, that was on GEM. That was on CBC GEM on their app. That was the only place you could get it. So
my thing is this.
Nothing against women's tennis. Women's tennis is very entertaining, but if I want to watch a Canadian university football game, I actually want to watch the whole thing.
Are we watching Antiques Roadshow? Is that better? Is Anne of Green Gables better? Is the Beachcombers better? Like what are we doing here? Like what are we doing here? But then you wonder, well, nobody's interested in CFL football. No, because you know why people are interested?
They don't know who the kids are that are coming up.
In the NFL, you knew who Jaden Daniels was because he played for LSU. You knew who Vince Young was because he played for Texas. You knew Matt Leinart. You knew all these guys because you know them. And those kids want to become the Barry Sanders. Like the one famous one, John Randall from the Vikings. I watched The Football Life. He used to have a little tub in his house, probably the size of this table we're sitting at. There were 8 siblings in a house in Arkansas, and that's where they bathed, in the middle of the room. They had to go out and get their water. This guy watched the NFL and wanted to become an NFL player, played a low-level college career, plays in the NFL. He's an all-timer, but he was inspired, and he was inspired, and he was inspired. Don't you want our generations of kids to be inspired?
That's what when you read about greatness, like how talent hotbeds come about, how people achieve greatness, it's because they always see an example and they say, hey, that could be me. A little kid, a young kid, grows up and sees, oh, Chris Getzlaff.
Neil Hughes
Played junior football, played university football in Regina. Paul Waldo played junior football.
Tanner Smeckle tonight on Winnipeg.
From Winnipeg, yeah.
From Riffle.
I could, he's like me. I could be like him. I could grow up and be that. That's how talent hotbeds come about. And that's what we need to promote rather than kind of making it more of an anomaly that all of a sudden this Canadian player becomes a great professional player.
Well, and you got kids drinking in the end zone. But they're drinking in the end zone maybe because they're watching their buddy they grew up in high school with or lived around he lives around the. That's the other thing about the CFL.
It's relatable.
You can reach out and touch them. They'll come to your school. I can guarantee you Justin Herbert isn't coming to your school.
Peter Godberg came to my school at the reserve last year.
There you
go. He was awesome.
There you go. Hey, man, you're awesome. Appreciate it. Want to give a shout out to Gerhard Studios, Dean and Nicole, Eric for helping me out here. Stats, Cocktails, and Dreams, District Brewing, Kevin Payson. Who else? Top of my head. Ward Tires. Ward Tire Craft, absolutely. Another great sponsor. But top of my head, it's been a long day.
Did you do Paul?
Paul Waldo, Royal LePage in Regina, AGT Foods. There's a lot of people. And like I said, go to District Brewing on 8th Avenue. They are outstanding. They got all these different options for you.
And more.
At your next party. And stats. To get some stats and enjoy yourself the next time you're having a party like we did down here today. Once again, the final score, Grey Cup 111, 41-24. That score kind of flattered the Bombers. Hard to believe. And the Argos were 8.5-point dogs, 10.5 at the start of the week. For Halsey, I'm Ballsy. We will talk to you later.